Marcus Kane wiped sweat from his forehead as he crawled through the narrow maintenance shaft of the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Edge. The quantum resonance chamber was acting up again, and as the chief engineer fixing it fell to him, the ship housed delegates from 12 different species, all gathering for the historic peace summit on neutral station Omega-7. Double quotes, just my luck, Marcus muttered, adjusting his tools. Of all the systems to malfunction, it had to be the most complicated one. The Zarathi delegation had been particularly insistent about the quantum chamber's stability. Their species used quantum-based technology for everything.
Oh.
Marcus had studied their tech manuals, but Zarathi engineering operated on principles that seemed almost magical. As he reached the chamber's core, Marcus gasped. The entire room pulsed with ethereal blue light emanating from a crystalline structure at its center. The crystal was beautiful, translucent with veins of silver running through its surface like frozen lightning. What the hell? Marcus approached cautiously. This wasn't in any of the technical specifications he'd reviewed. The moment his fingers touched the crystal's surface, the chamber exploded with brilliant light. Energy coursed through Marcus's body, not painful but overwhelming. Visions flashed through his mind, alien landscapes, strange symbols, and most prominently, the face of a woman with luminous violet eyes and silver-marked skin. No, no, no. A melodic voice cried out. Marcus spun around to see a Zarathi female rushing into the chamber. She was tall and graceful, with the characteristic pale blue skin of her species. But her beauty was striking even by human standards. Intricate silver markings adorned her face and exposed arms, pulsing with the same energy as the crystal. "Human, what have you done?" she demanded, her violet eyes wide with what looked like fear. "I was just trying to fix the resonance chamber," Marcus protested. "I didn't know this crystal was here." She stared at him, then at the crystal, which was now glowing even brighter. "You touched the heartstone," she whispered. "The quantum bond. It's activated." What quantum bond? Suddenly Marcus felt it, a strange pull toward the Zarathi woman, as if an invisible thread connected them. When she moved, he felt an echo of the motion in his own body. "I am Zafira Veltar, warrior diplomat of the Zarathi Confederation," she said formally, though her voice trembled slightly. "And you, human, have just bound our life forces together through an ancient ritual that hasn't been triggered in over 3 centuries. Marcus felt his knees go weak. "What does that mean exactly?" Zafira's expression was grim. "It means, Marcus Kane of Earth, that we are now connected until death. Your life force is tied to mine, and mine to yours. If one of us dies, so does the other." The chamber continued to pulse with energy around him as the magnitude of Marcus's accident began to sink in. The binding truth next morning found Marcus in Zafira's private quarters, a space that seemed to blend Zarathi technology with organic beauty. Living walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns while crystalline formations provided both light and what appeared to be data storage. Zafira moved gracefully through the space, preparing some kind of ceremonial tea. "The quantum heart bond," she began, settling across from him with fluid movements, "is our species' most sacred connection. It was designed for lifelong partners who wish to share their very essence." Marcus accepted the steaming cup, inhaling an aroma like jasmine mixed with starlight. "And it can't be undone?" "There is a way," Zafira said carefully, "but it requires completing the 3 trials of unity. They were designed to test whether bonded pairs are truly compatible." She paused, studying his face. "If we fail any trial, or if we refuse to attempt them, we both die within 7 cycles. 7 days, Marcus translated, his engineering mind automatically converting Zarathi time units. "What kind of trials?" Zafira's violet eyes seemed to glow in the chamber's soft light. "The trial of survival, where we must depend on each other completely. The trial of truth, where no secrets can exist between us. And the trial of choice, where we must decide what matters most." As she spoke, Marcus found himself studying her features, the delicate silver markings that seemed to shift like living tattoos. The way her hair caught in reflected light like spun starlight, the graceful curve of her neck. When she caught him staring, He felt heat rise in his cheeks. "You find me attractive," she observed, not as a question, but a statement. "I can feel it through our bond." Marcus nearly choked on his tea. "You can feel what I'm feeling. Emotions, physical sensations, pain, pleasure, all of it flows between us now." Zephyra's own cheeks darkened to a deeper blue. "Just as I can feel that you're experiencing what your species calls embarrassment, and that my proximity affects you in pleasant ways." The bond pulsed between them, and Marcus suddenly understood that she was equally affected. Despite their different species, despite the accident that had caused this situation, there was an undeniable attraction growing between them. "Zephyra," he said softly, leaning forward, "what happens if we actually succeed in the trials?" "Then the bond becomes permanent," she whispered. "We become quantum paired, sharing extended lifespans and abilities neither of us would possess alone." She met his eyes directly. "My people call it the joining of souls." Marcus reached across the small table, carefully taking her hand. Her skin was warm and incredibly soft, and where they touched, small sparks of energy danced between their fingers. "Then we better not fail," he said with a smile that made her lips curve upward in response. "The first trial begins tonight," Zephyra said. "We transport to Kepler-4 for to see. A world where survival requires absolute trust between partners." As if summoned by her words, the ship's communication system chimed. Captain Torres's voice filled the room. "All passengers prepare for quantum jump to trial world designation. Alpha 27, estimated arrival in 4 hours. Marcus squeezed Zephyra's hand gently. "Ready for an adventure?" Her answering smile was radiant. "With you, Marcus Kane, I believe I am." Kepler-4 for to see was a world of impossible beauty and hidden dangers. Crystalline forests stretched toward purple skies, while gravity wells and temporal distortions made navigation treacherous. Marcus and Zephyra materialized on the planet's surface, their hands instinctively finding each other as they oriented themselves to the alien environment. "The trial begins now," Zephyra explained. Consulting a device that looked like liquid mercury formed into complex geometric shapes, "We must reach the sanctuary crystal in the planet's core within 48 hours. And we can only succeed by trusting each other completely." Marcus looked around at the shimmering landscape. "What kind of dangers are we talking about?" His question was answered immediately as the ground beneath them began to crack. Crystalline creatures emerged, beings that looked like living gemstones with razor-sharp edges and multifaceted eyes that tracked their every movement. "Quantum predators," Zephyra breathed. "They feed on life energy." The creatures moved with frightening speed, but Marcus noticed something crucial. "They're attracted to fear," he said, grabbing Zephyra's hand. "I can feel it through our bond when you're afraid. They get more aggressive." "Then we must find calm," Zephyra replied, her warrior training kicking in. "Focus on our connection, not the danger." They moved through the crystal forest as one entity. Marcus's engineering expertise helping them navigate the temporal distortions, while Zephyrus' combat skills kept the predators at bay. When Marcus stumbled into a gravity well, Zephyra's strength pulled him out. When she was overwhelmed by psychic interference from the crystals, his human mind, naturally resistant to such effects, guided them both to safety. As night fell, they took shelter in a crystal cave that hummed with harmonic frequencies. The sound was beautiful, but seemed to intensify their bond, making every emotion and sensation they shared more vivid. Marcus Zephyra said softly as they settled close together for warmth. "I can feel your memories bleeding through. Your childhood, your dreams, your fears about not being good enough." He turned to face her in the dim, crystalline light. "And I can feel yours. The pressure you've always felt to be perfect. The loneliness of command. The way you've never allowed yourself to be vulnerable with anyone." Their faces were inches apart now, and the cave's harmonics seemed to pulse in rhythm with their heartbeats. "This bond," Zephyra whispered. "It's showing us things we've never shared with anyone." "Maybe that's the point of the trial," Marcus said, reaching up to trace one of the silver markings on her cheek. "True trust means having no barriers." When she leaned into his touch, The markings began to glow softly. In my culture, when the heart markings illuminate, it means ... what? Deep emotional connection. Love, some might call it. Marcus felt his own pulse quicken. And what do you call it? Instead of answering with words, Zafira closed the distance between them, her lips meeting his in a kiss that sent cascades of energy through their shared bond. The cave around them resonated with the frequency of their connection, crystals blooming with new colors as their emotions intertwined. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing heavily. The second trial begins tomorrow. Zafira murmured against his lips. Bring it on, Marcus replied, holding her close as the crystalline world sang them to sleep. The heart's choicest temple of truth rose before them, like a structure built from solidified starlight. Its translucent walls shifted between dimensions, and as Marcus and Zafira approached the entrance, they could see reflections of themselves that moved independently, showing different possible futures. The trial of truth, Zafira explained, her voice more nervous than Marcus had ever heard it. Inside, we cannot lie, not to each other, not to ourselves. Our deepest secrets, our worst fears, our hidden desires, everything will be revealed. Marcus took her hand. We've come this far together. The moment they stepped inside, the temple's power washed over them. Marcus felt every wall he'd ever built around his emotions crumble. Beside him, Zafira's carefully maintained diplomatic composure dissolved. I'm terrified, she admitted immediately. The words pulled from her against her will. Not of the trial, but of how much I'm starting to care for you. My people have always seen emotional attachment as weakness, and I'm scared that once you really know me, you'll realize I'm not worthy of someone like you, Marcus replied, unable to stop the confession. I've always felt like I'm pretending to be more than I am. The temple pulsed around them, and suddenly they were surrounded by holographic projections of their memories, their failures, their triumphs, their moments of shame and glory, all displayed simultaneously. Zafira saw Marcus as a young boy, brilliant but overlooked, throwing himself into engineering because machines were easier to understand than people. She felt his loneliness, his fear of rejection, his desperate need to prove himself valuable. Marcus experienced Zafira's childhood among the warrior caste, where showing emotion was forbidden and personal relationships were considered distractions from duty. He felt her pain at always being isolated, always perfect, never allowed to be simply herself. I've never been held, Zafira whispered, tears streaming down her face as the temple forced her deepest vulnerability into the open. Not once, not tenderly. Every touch in my life has been clinical or combative. Without hesitation, Marcus gathered her into his arms, and the simple act of holding her, really holding her, sent waves of healing energy through their bond. Her markings blazed with silver fire as she finally allowed herself to be vulnerable. I love your mind, Marcus murmured into her hair. Your strength, your beauty, but mostly how you make me feel like I finally belong somewhere, and I love how safe you make me feel. She replied, looking up at him with eyes bright with tears and starlight. How you see me as more than my duties and expectations. The temple responded to their emotional breakthrough by revealing its final secret, a pool of liquid crystal in its center. The bond pool, Zafira breathed. Legend says that couples who bathe in it together while speaking absolute truth become quantum entangled at the molecular level. Marcus looked into her eyes. Is that what you want? More than anything, she replied honestly. But what about your life on Earth? Your career? Your people might never accept our union. Then we'll make them understand, Marcus said firmly. Some things are worth fighting for. Hand in hand, they stepped into the pool. The liquid crystal enveloped them like warm starlight, and as they held each other, their bond deepened into something that transcended mere connection. They were becoming something new together, not human, not Zarathi, but something unprecedented and beautiful when they emerged. Their eyes had both taken on a subtle silver glow, marking them as quantum-paired for life. The final trial took place aboard the diplomatic vessel, but everything had changed. News of Marcus and Zafira's quantum pairing had spread throughout the ship. causing an uproar among both human and Zerathi delegations. Ambassador Vex, the Zerathi high diplomat, paced furiously in the main conference room while Captain Torres tried to maintain order among the human contingent. "This is unprecedented," Ambassador Vex declared, his silver eyes flashing with anger. Warrior diplomat Zephyra was promised to the son of the Zerathi High Council. This ... accident threatens a crucial political alliance. Captain Torres crossed her arms. "Engineer Kane is a valuable member of our crew, but his actions have complicated our diplomatic mission beyond measure, Marcus." And Zephyra stood together in the center of the storm, their newly enhanced bond allowing them to share strength even as opposition mounted around them. The silver glow in their eyes pulsed in unison, a visible sign of their connection that no one could deny. "The final trial," Zephyra announced, her voice carrying new authority, "is the trial of choice. We must choose between our people's expectations and our quantum bond. The choice is simple," Ambassador Vex stated coldly. "End this inappropriate connection and fulfill your obligations, or face exile from Zerathi's space forever." Marcus, Captain Torres added more gently, "If you proceed with this bond, Earth Command will likely reassign you permanently. Your career, your life as you knew it, it will all change." Marcus felt the weight of their words. But when he looked at Zephyra, he also felt the absolute certainty that had grown between them. Through their bond, he experienced her resolve matching his own. "Some things are more important than politics," Marcus said, his voice steady. "What Zephyra and I have discovered goes beyond our individual species. We're proof that deep connection is possible between any forms of life." Zephyra stepped forward, her bearing regal despite the pressure around them. "The quantum heart bond is our people's most sacred tradition. If the High Council chooses politics over honoring that tradition, then perhaps it's time for new thinking." Suddenly, Dr. Helena Cross, the expedition xenobiologist, burst into the room carrying data pads and looking excited. "You need to see this," she announced breathlessly. "I've been studying the quantum resonance patterns from their bonding. The energy signature they're generating together, it's unlike anything we've ever recorded." She activated a holographic display showing complex energy patterns. "Their bond isn't just emotional or mystical. It's creating new quantum fields that could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness itself. We're looking at the next step in evolution, not just for humans or Zerathi, but for all conscious life." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Ambassador Vex studied the data, his expression gradually shifting from anger to wonder. "If this is accurate, it means Marcus and Zephyra aren't just choosing love over duty, Doctor," Cross continued. "They're pioneering a new form of existence that could benefit all our species." Zephyra and Marcus exchanged glances, feeling through their bond the shift in the room's energy. "We choose each other," Zephyra declared firmly. "Not because we're selfish, but because we believe love and connection are the foundation for building a better future." Marcus nodded, taking her hand. "Our bond proves that cooperation and understanding between species isn't just possible, it's transformative." 6 months later, Marcus and Zephyra stood before the newly formed Interspecies Council, their quantum bond serving as a living symbol of unity between worlds. Their love story had become legend, but more importantly, it had opened doorways to new possibilities for cooperation and understanding throughout the galaxy. As they shared their first kiss as officially recognized quantum partners, their bond sent ripples of harmonious energy across space, touching every conscious mind and reminding all beings that love, in all its forms, was the universe's greatest force.